Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles, and I welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is, are the Lakers back to being dominant in the NBA? So that's the topic I want to get into in today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Also, be on the lookout for our Dreamerspro community, which is launching this week. I'm just putting in the final touches, so be on the lookout for that. Anyway. Let me get into this topic here. So the Lakers have been, for the most part, consistent all season long, right? Although they started off the season with a loss playing against the Clippers, since then, you know, they've been playing pretty well. They beat, I think the second game they played was on Christmas Day when they beat, I think it was the Dallas Mavericks, if I'm not mistaken. I think they beat the Dallas Mavericks, and they've had a good record all season long. For the majority of the season up to this point, they've had the number one seed in the Western Conference. So they've been playing well. They've been playing like the champs, and they've been playing with a lot more momentum. You can see that those guys are improving upon their chemistry. They have more confidence on the court. I saw an interview where Paul Pierce was talking about how did he feel after he won the Finals MVP, after he won the title, and he said he was just so confident. His shoulders were up so high. So you can imagine the confidence that these guys have been playing with all season long. Although they made some new acquisitions, they lost some key pieces last season with Dwight Howard, JaVale McGee, Danny Green, and some other players, but they added some new players like Montrezl Harrell, who was the former recipient of the Sixth Man of the Year award last year. They added Dennis Schroeder, they added Marc Gasol, they added Wesley Matthews. And some other pieces, and they've been trying to integrate all of these guys there. Their defense has been good all season long because they have a defensive-minded coach and Frank Vogel. LeBron James has been having a great season. If I go in and just look at his season stats, he's been having a fantastic year. He's averaging 25 points per game, 7.8 rebounds, 7.5 assists, but his efficiency is there as well. He's shooting 49% from the field, virtually 50%. He's shooting 40.9%, so let's say 41% from the three, 72% from the free throw line, and getting you almost one steal a game. So LeBron has been doing, he's been doing his thing, and I think he's been the driving force behind the Lakers as usual, right? He's been the driving force. They have a very good defensive team. If I look at the defensive rating right now as a team, they're in the top three, basically the number two behind the New York Knicks, who I'm surprised have the best they're the best defensive rated team. I think they hold teams under the least amount of points per game. When I saw them play against the Clippers on last Sunday, I could understand why. But Tom Thibodeau is a great defensive coach, and the Knicks play great defense. And as you can see, although they're not one of the top teams in the Eastern Conference because they're not the most talented team, but when you play defense, you give your team a shot every single night to win a game, right? Because your offense sometimes may go, but your defense can always remain consistent, and that's one of the things that the Lakers have been doing. They have the second highest ranked defensive rated team in the NBA. But if you also go look at the raw data, the Lakers have one of the best differentials in the NBA. They score about 112 points per game, but they're giving up 104, right? So they're beating teams by a fairly decent margin, about 8 points per game, which is a good differential to beat teams. So they're beating teams by multiple possessions, which is good. It means they're beating teams pretty definitively. However, Anthony Davis, on the other hand, has not been playing up to the level that he needs to for this team to be really what they were last year. Let's just be honest. Anthony Davis has not been himself, especially for the last few games. If I go look at his season stats, although he's been playing better recently, but overall his production is down. This season he's averaging 22 points per game, 9.1 rebounds, and 3.4 assists, right? If you look at his numbers last season he was averaging well over like 26. He was averaging about 26 points per game. He was getting more rebounds, pretty much about the same amount of assists, but he was getting more blocks and more steals. So his productivity has kind of been down. I don't know why that is, but as of recent, he started to pick up. He started to pick up his play. The Lakers had recently lost 2 games in a row, which is the first time that they had a losing streak. I think one of the games, I don't remember for sure, one of the games they lost was a buzzer beater basically against the Philadelphia 76ers. And I think they lost another game. It was to the Detroit Pistons. But I think in that Detroit game, AD didn't play. It was just LeBron. And LeBron has been, as I said, LeBron has been the driving force of this team. Now, they recently beat the Boston Celtics, which was a very, very good win. And the Boston Celtics are not an easy team to beat, but the Lakers went into Boston and beat Boston. Like, yeah, some people may say, yeah, although there's not a crowd, but yeah, first of all, there are some people in some of these games. There's some fans in these games. If you look at if you watch the games on TV, you can see that the NBA is trying to find a way to slowly start to bring fans back into the games. So there were fans in the game for sure, but it's still a different arena, still a different rim and all of this stuff. No matter how long LeBron has been in the league, he doesn't live in Boston. He doesn't play most of the majority of his games in those arenas. So it's still an away game. Excuse me. And the Lakers were able to go in there and pretty much beat the Celtics. Then last night, although I didn't see the game, I saw some of the highlights and I saw the box score. They were also able to beat the Atlanta Hawks. And what I like about this team, the Lakers, is that they play defense, right? And they held the Hawks to under 100 points. If you watch the game when other teams have played the Hawks, for instance, like the Nets, the Hawks were like in the high 120s, right? So the Lakers kept them under 100. If I look at the Lakers production per player, LeBron had a solid game, 21 points, 9 assists, 7 rebounds, pretty much what you can expect from the guy. This is usually what he does, but AD stepped up. Now, AD scored 25, but he only got you 2 assists and 2 rebounds. And this is the thing that's a bit confusing about AD, because AD at his size, Anthony Davis, how tall is Anthony Davis? Anthony Davis is 6'10". He's almost, if he puts on his sneakers, he must be like 6'11", right? So he's a very tall guy. For him not to be getting more rebounds, like to get 2 rebounds in a game, it's not a good thing. Like now, this season he's averaging 9.1, but last season he averaged 9.3. I would like to see AD closer to a double-double, but he said that AD is a finesse guy. He doesn't like banging. He doesn't like playing through contact. That's why he never liked playing the 5. He said that many times before, and that's why one reason I thought that the last season the Clippers, if they were to meet the Lakers in the playoffs, I thought the Clippers would beat them, because even though the Clippers didn't have as much size, but the Clippers play with more physicality. They're rough riders, and Montrezl Harrell plays with a lot of force, so he would rough the guy up and kind of push him out of his game. Anthony Davis is prone to take step back jump shots, fadeaways, even go for 3-pointers. So he doesn't search for contact like a Giannis Antetokounmpo. He's more kind of similar to Joel Embiid, although Joel Embiid now he's being featured more. Featured more in the post. So AD is, he's still not at the level that he needs to be for them to win the title. I don't think, if he plays like this, he's going to win. The Lakers are going to win the NBA title, because he has to be on top of his game, like he was last season. But so far, it looks like the Lakers are back on track. They've won. They've been on a 2-game winning streak. So they're winning games again. They now have, I think they should, if I look at the NBA standings, they should be in the top 3 in the Western Conference. Yes, they're number 3. So the Lakers are doing their thing. If the Clippers or the Jazz lose a game, then they can jump right back up to number 1. So things can move around pretty quickly at the top of the Western Conference with the Lakers, Jazz, and Clippers. But for right now, I think the Lakers are back to being dominant, and I think they're going to continue to hit their stride. So what I want to know from you guys is, do you think the Lakers are back to being dominant, or do you think that you need to see more from them, or this is what you're expecting from them all along because they're the champs? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro. Wishing you guys an amazing day. Again, if you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out the next video that we have coming up, and catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.